director of the Louisiana High School Coaches Association, a branch of the LHSAA, our good and great friend Eric Held. Eric, good to have you with us. It's a good day for high school sports.
Hey, Ken, thanks for having me. Like you said, it's a great day for high school sports, and especially those in the fall. We've already started with a few of the other sports with cross-country, volleyball, swimming, and now that we've moved on, we have football slated to play, which is awesome for all four sports that the LHSAA sponsors.
And speaking of football, the other good news today was that now the regular season can start week 1 of October, which means you can play an 8-game regular season and still have a full bracket, 5 weeks for the non-selects for playoffs, which is really the best of both worlds. That's what all the coaches wanted, if possible.
Sure. The big question was how many weeks are we going to have and what the starting and the finishing dates were. So once those were ironed out, Mr. Bonine, as you know, did a tremendous job, as did the executive committee, and so many other people. There's so many hands that played a factor in this for the last 5.5 to 6 months. The Louisiana Football Coaches Association, led by Dwayne Jenkins, who's the AD and head coach at Lutcher, the Football Advisory Committee that was represented by coaches from all around the state, representing geographical areas and districts and classes and select, non-select. We covered the gamut there. And it was just a collaborative effort amongst everybody just to put this together. And the majority of the coaches, the vast majority of the coaches, wanted to play as many games as possible in the regular season and also keep that full 32-team bracket. Because as you know, with the non-selects, if you have a 16-team bracket, then you're looking at 72 teams that wouldn't make the playoffs, which accounts for a lot of kids that would miss the postseason.
Well, it certainly would. It's the opportunity, and we heard that from a lot of people on the non-select side. It's really not an impact on the select side because of the size of the brackets, but it certainly impacted the non-select. So that's important to say the least. And so many people to credit with this, certainly the Bessie board, certainly Cade Brumley, certainly Dr. Greg Stewart. You mentioned Eddie Bonan and the great job he's done with your organization, the executive committee. It took a collective effort, and then kudos to Governor Edwards for going along with the plan as well.
No question. The governor did a great job. He's met a few times, either personally, face-to-face with Mr. Bonine or over the phone. And Mr. Bonine's always been in contact with his office and also through Mr. Spradley with the state legislature, who represents the LHSA with the other legislators at the state capitol. So they did a tremendous job collaborating. The Attorney General as well, Ken Bradford, who's with the Department of Education on the LHSA Executive Committee, tremendous job. Bessie, the Department of Health, heck, even the Fire Marshal's office as well. So a lot of hands that played into being able to kick off fall sports and most recently today, football.
Yeah, and thanks to Jeff Landry for his efforts as well. People have asked a million questions. We had Eddie on the show last Saturday. He did a great job answering everything. But one question they ask all the time is, what are the regulations for going to a game, whether it's a volleyball match, a football game, whatever? The answer to the question is it really does depend on the school and that jurisdiction. And the schools are in charge of governing their own games, which they host. So they'll have the measures in place, whether it's masks, whether it's sanitizer, whether it's temperature checks, whatever it may be. And then with regard to the indoor sports, again, the capacity is up to the jurisdictions. That's something that your organization allows, correct?
That's right. And like I said, it's just been a collaborative effort with everyone, with the return to play efforts, with everybody jumping on board and getting open safely documentation and guidance out there as well. There's so many people we could talk about that played a hand in this over the last 5.5 to 6 months. I remember being at the Burton Coliseum mid-March when Mr. Bonine and the executive committee had to make that decision to play the championship games on Friday and Saturday for boys basketball in an empty arena. And giving them the opportunity to compete for a state championship, unfortunately in front of empty seats. But then once that ended, that last game ended, we were the last high school event that was played in the United States. And then to leave there and not know what we were going into. And back in mid-March, if you would have said, hey, on September 9th, we would be deciding what the format of the regular season and playoffs was for football or would be for football, I probably would have thought you were a little nuts. But it's amazing. It's amazing how this has just been an incredible time, and to see how people have handled this, to see the resiliency of people, to see the patience that has been exhibited, and also the tremendous job that our coaches have done around the state, our athletic directors, our administrators, to make sure that our kids are safe and following the guidelines that were put out back in June when they did return on June 8th. The officials have such a big role in this as well with volleyball and football, and registering the officials. Lee Sanders does a tremendous job as our assistant executive director in charge of officials, and going out and kind of re-recruiting these officials so that they can officiate these contests. So the coaches have done a great job with working professionally with the assignment secretaries, now called regional coordinating officials, and communicating with them as well, because a lot of them have already realized there's a lot of officials out there who are 50-plus years of age, and those new officials just aren't coming in like they used to. And a lot of those older officials with some underlying conditions, and rightfully so, are staying away and just taking a wait-and-see approach. So a lot of these coaches have done a great job communicating and saying, hey, we'll play on a Thursday night, which is non-traditional at our school. So it's just been a collaborative effort on everything, an open-mindedness to things, and realizing that this is non-traditional. It's completely abnormal. Hopefully we see an end to this in the near future, but we're learning how to live with it. And I think Mr. Bonine's done a great job leading the charge of the Athletic Association with our schools, our 405 schools, and he's been great, showing a great display of leadership and patience and not jumping the gun on anything. And it's been amazing. Greg Sankey talked about patience when it came to reopening SEC football. And if you watch Hard Knocks, I've seen one episode, and Anthony Lynn, the coach of the Chargers, addressed his team on Zoom over the summer, and he used that word as well, patience, and also that this was a completely non-normal year and that there would be a lot of sacrifices that would have to be made, but we all have to exhibit some patience. And I've heard that from a few leaders out there of organizations, and it's refreshing to see that consistency there with the same verbiage that Mr. Bonine's displayed.
I think it's about to pay off. Eric Held, LHSAA, thank you, and hopefully we'll be talking about a game and getting some LHSAA games on again. I sent you a pretty good idea just a minute ago. Take a look at it, and in the meantime, glad to know you're well too, my friend, and we'll talk again soon, you hear?
You got it. Thank you, and thank you for those prayers. Power of prayer is great, and it's gotten us all through this time, and it'll get you through anything, no doubt.
You bet, Eric. Thank you.